Acola is the #1 player in Japan, and I've said for a while I think he's the #2 player in the world, and he's kind of proving it over the last 2 tournaments, being the Ludwig Smash Invitational and winning Let's Make Moves Miami, his first open bracket in the United States. He's had a crazy amount of wins. His win percentages on literally everyone in the world except for like MK Leo is above 50%. We're going to be watching a couple of his sets, one from the Ludwig Smash Invitational where he fought Spargo, and one from Let's Make Moves Miami where he fought Tweak. Both sets were really good. There's so many more good sets from him, like versus Riddles and versus Zomba and versus, not really the Onin ones, no offense to Onin. Steve Ditto sucks. It's not his fault. Before we get started, Steve haters, there's the door. Just leave. Don't comment. I don't want that discourse in my comment section. If y'all leave shit in the comment section, I'm just going to turn off comments whenever I make Steve videos so that y'all don't have a place to. It's getting obnoxious. Also, subscribe. So here's the thing is, I still think Cloud absolutely wins this matchup. I know that a lot of people just for some reason assume that Steve doesn't have a losing matchup because the Steve players are really good, / people don't know the matchup, / you can still lose even if you do know a matchup, because it's still bad, right? Like, I think Cloud has a lot of good things in this matchup, but sometimes if you play really well, it doesn't matter. But either way, Spargo almost dies there, actually. If that back air hit, I'm pretty sure Spargo was dead. The amount of tech that Acola uses is like really, really cool. He doesn't spam PBR as much as he used to. Now that people are kind of aware of what he does in terms of turning around and changing where he wants to attack, he mixes it up a lot, which is really, really good. And Spargo just doing classic Spargo ledge trapping. One thing I do wish Acola did is go for down tilts. I don't know why the Steve players never go for down tilt edge guards anymore. And yeah, like, this is kind of why the matchup is a little bit unfortunate, is Cloud can kind of always control the tempo and the pacing and swat out Steve when Steve wants to like be on the ground. But of course, like, the explosiveness of Steve and the fact that you can like hit combos and make them go off stage is kind of what puts it back into like doable for Steve. It's looking rough right now, and Acola definitely needs to make some adaptations, and I don't really understand. There's a lot of people that like are watching it's like, oh my god, they're just doing the same thing and now they're winning when they were losing. It's like, no, the adaptation of the Steve players, especially Acola, is insane. Because again, like, he's just getting trounced, right? Like, every single one of his aerials is losing. He realized that footstool dare wasn't going to work there. He's not really doing any setups. He hasn't really got, like, he got like one clean hit at the beginning with a jab, and like, that was it. The current top Steves, Onin and Acola, don't really get NIL stuff. Beautiful SDI by Spargo, just for the record, because that's the one thing you have to worry about, right, is getting thrown off stage and getting edge guarded. And so Spargo just literally SDIs behind Steve entirely, and so he has to do the combo the other way. And again, this could have been a kill, because if he could have gotten up tilt here and NIL'd to the top, well, actually, he doesn't even have the resources for it, so I actually think he was perfectly fine regardless. Acola kind of frustrates his opponents in ways that the other Steves don't, so that like he forces them to be aggressive. He's also like really, like, both him and Onin, the reason I think that they're the 2 best Steves is because they're aggressive. They actually run at people unless they're at death %. It's crazy. Oh, beautiful up air back air. This was so good. Like, the random conversions that Acola will get is ridiculous. Like, I don't see other Steves doing that. And that's huge. That's 20%. That's, 5 materials. That's the momentum. That's people approaching. It's so hard. And yeah, the biggest problem with this matchup is minecart in disadvantage is like almost useless. Like, unless you're going so high up to the point where they're not hitting you, like really, really high up, it's just really hard to use any of your iron tools. As you can see here, like, it's just hard. It is hard to use iron in this matchup. So yeah, wonderful there by Acola. I mean, that's just standard combo, right? Like, I think Spargo's SDI is really, really good here. What he should have done is he should SDI this one up. If you are under the platform on Battlefield specifically, if you're SDIing up, you'll actually get to platform, so we can't continue the combo unless they're gonna do like full hop up air NIL 3 shit, which they're not gonna do, or they have to just end it with up smash. But in this case, good SDI by Spargo to get off stage so he doesn't get hit by the down smash. Obviously, Acola could have read this and just like down tilted and hit the double jump and like the wall jump and stuff. But again, Spargo has the capabilities of bringing this back. It is still really, really scary for Acola. He just has to get like another down air, which he tries. Oh, I think he could have up smashed there. I'm not sure if it would have finished though. Beautiful empty jumps. The empty jumps from Spargo in general are ridiculous. I hate fighting him. Yeah, up tilt, up smash, not really gonna work. That's why I prefer the NILs, but if you up B and whiff, you're going to die. Like, that was just a really good directional. air dodge. Well, like that's not something a lot of people do. It's really hard to pin down people when they are mixing up their options super well. And again, that's what Acola does. He directional air dodges, neutral air dodges, minecart, you know, the stuff that Steve has. But then he of course has like PBR, TBC, so he can like swing aerials in areas you're not expecting. Not a lot of people would directional air dodge here. Like that's just not something people will do. That was still the sweet spot. That's hilarious. And again, this is just what Cloud can do to Steve sometimes, right? Like obviously Steve can get the open up. Like this is just a classic like losing matchup, but if you get in though, right? Like Wario has plenty of those, and Kazuya, and even like pre-patch characters, right? Like people like lose to Olimar but can fuck Olimar up if you get in. He's just waiting outside the ranges, right? Like that is something you can definitely do against Steve, and it's legitimately really hard to fight against that. Like dude, every time I play Aegis, I swear to God I have to fight a Cloud, and I hate it. And like Sephiroth, it sucks. And the crazy part is like the punish game of the Steves that are winning, again, isn't super optimal. It's not even remotely optimal. It's not even sometimes optimal. Like they just get their very basic B and Bs. Like they're obviously are doing more tech than someone like Jake, but they're still not doing most of the tech. Beautiful spacing. Super crazy that this worked. I thought he was gonna get smacked by the side B. Like I've seen Ona do it a couple times. It's just scary. And yeah, there's the SDI from Cloud. The problem is Acola's defense is the most underrated thing about him, because like obviously sometimes he's going to get hit and he's going to get juggled and he's going to get hit on minecart and blah blah blah, because that just happens. That just happens with Steve. But the moments of crucialness, like the most crucial moments that he needs to have amazing defense, the amount of parries and add a shield down airs this guy gets it's so high. Like the keyest moments when he needs to play perfect, he does. And again, Steve has some pretty easy combos that are 0 to or 20 to 80. Like this is not a hard combo. The reacting to the SDI was impressive, but also there's nowhere else. Like you're either gonna SDI off stage or on stage, so you're just gonna walk backwards anyway. Acola is a master at realizing when people are going to be approaching him and then perfectly getting the defense. The fact that he can parry against Spargo so consistently is ridiculous, because as me and Mars have talked about, parrying Spargo is fucking impossible. It's something you don't do in a set, especially not the amount that Acola is doing it. Like you get 1, 2 maybe, but like I feel like Acola's got like 9 or 10 parries so far, and that's just not something that happens. Chat, let's do some salutes for Spargo here. Near, far, wherever you are, I believe that the heart will go on. Unfortunate. Spargo basically brought this back. Like you wouldn't have known that there was an SD in this game, which is one of the heartbreaking parts. Like if you SD and then you fucking like lose by a lot, you're like, ugh man, like okay, well they were at least outplaying me or I was tilted or something. But like it's worse in this case when like Spargo's like it's even and he died at 0. My favorite thing Acola does, and I know people have talked about it before, is these walls to make sure that he can just take a hit and not die instead of camping behind a wall at these percentages. I'm pretty sure the next time he hits him, he just kills him. I think it's just a one hit, like one advantage state win. Like that pickup was crazy. The fact that he did sword fair here was actually so smart instead of nair, or instead of jab or nair, because it's really hard to get the conversion here. We're like max distance, but sword fair is like it sends a little bit less far. So sword fair into fair was amazing. Like this was so good. Reads the SDI in, because at this point it doesn't matter. That's just a ton of damage. And then obstacle course, like that's silly, right? Like that is just Steve being a really good character. Again, ledge, you know, basically that's just like a scramble situation. But again, he didn't really get one of these like at all, like the entire set. Like this was like the one he got. So the fact that he can, you know, make the most out of one opening, again, on defense especially, is so good. And yeah, that was Wood Tools. And now we're going to be watching another one of his sets versus another one of the best players in the world, Tweak. I was like in and out of watching this, so I don't really remember it as well. But this set seemed crazy. This matchup, I think Steve wins slightly. I don't think it's like undoable for Diddy. It's just like Diddy's not great at breaking blocks other than barrels. I think Steve also has a lot of even matchups, like really awkward, annoying matchups. Oh, I love that nair. And again, that's kind of showing what I was talking about with the sword fair that Acola did against Spargo, is like sometimes if you get like a nair or something, it sends too far. Like it literally just sends farther and there's more timing. Like I also think me Brawler wins, but I think that's just me being crazy. And again, I love the extra damage that Acola will go for. I mentioned it in the Spargo set. I feel like basically every other Steve here would have just gone for like a forward air, but the fact that he gets an up air, that's an extra 6%, and 6% later for like footstool dares and up smashes matters. It really matters. Does he beat Steve? No, I think Steve wins this matchup. I feel like a lot of people, including myself, like I'm not, you know, talking shit about other people. Like a lot of people do a lot of incorrect things versus Steve because it's a hard character to learn the matchup for. And, you know, even learning the matchup sometimes, like learning a good amount of the matchup doesn't mean you know the matchup fully. Like one of the interesting things I feel like that comes with a lot of the Steve conversation is, oh my God, these people know the matchup though. How are they losing? Y'all, it took me years, literally years, to learn matchups in Brawl and Smash 4 to the point where I was very comfortable saying like I should not lose X or Y. Pikachu versus Snake for me in Brawl took me like 2 years to learn. And even then, MVD pushed me to the brink at locals all the time, even if literally no other Snake could even come close. You don't play a character for 7 hours in matchup in friendlies and learn the matchup. You learn more about the matchup, but you don't learn the matchup. There is always new stuff to learn, especially with a character like Steve, who has a bunch of different playstyles and a bunch of different shit. There's a lot of research being done by players of being like, okay, how do I beat Steve? But then they play a different Steve that plays entirely different. Like, people were ready for Steve. They're like, I know how to fight Jake. I know how to fight Yanni. It's fine. And then Onin came along and went, wow, he literally does almost nothing that the other two do, and he plays so entirely differently, I have to relearn the matchup. You need hundreds of hours per matchup. Unless you play a broken top tier and you're playing a +2. If you're playing against a really, really good character, you need to really spend hours and hours and hours learning matchups, which is why 60-something characters being very viable is a pain in the ass. Like, one of the reasons, in my opinion, Steve is such a strong character is it's not like he has 1 or 2 overwhelmingly good options, which like he does. But it's not just the fact that, wow, that was crazy good. It's the fact that Steve can play so differently in so many different ways. Was he that minus on hit? No, dude. That was tragic. I think one of the most underrated things about Steve, in terms of like, I mean, I know people talk about it, but like the auto cancel aerials are fucked up. So back here, you're gonna hit frame 16. I'm gonna do stone just cause. So this move, if you do it properly, can be a -4. With diamond, it's -2. Diamond back air can be -2 if you do it properly. That's fucking crazy. It's ridiculously good. The crazy thing is, look at the resources that Acola has. Like, Tweak has been playing this so well. That's scary because Acola has Diamond, right? But at the same time, he has like nothing now. I really wish people still broke the crafting table because he might take an iron or 2 right now. The unfortunate thing is, I feel like once Steve gets Diamond, assuming you don't like super burst their second stock, they just have Diamond for the rest of the game because it becomes a lot scarier to challenge Steve. So he's probably going to mine enough to get another Diamond for the next stock. Why does Steve's not plank? I don't know. And again, another one of the beautiful defense of Acola, right? Like, again, getting something like this, like the footstool dare out of shield, is so clutch. He puts himself in the perfect positions, I swear to God, to always be under people's shield. I try to do that, it's so hard. And the thing is, Steve isn't fast, so the fact that he's able to do that consistently with a slow character and not even like a fast character like Pikachu is ridiculous. Yeah, planking doesn't work on Smash Hill. Planking only works on the battlefield stages. Let's go, Peanut. Acola's starting to set up a lot more walls now, like multiple at once, because that's the adaptation, right? He's like, okay, well, Tweak is kind of hitting me for doing, oh, that would have been sick. Tweak is starting to like understand how to get around the 1 blocks and like the 1 set of walls, so he's doing like hella, unless he doesn't have the time to. Like, now Acola's camping, and this is, again, very rare. Acola's not really a camp from go type of Steve. Like, he's really not. He's an aggressive player. He wants to be in your face and swinging and scrapping, but like he said, nope. Ouch. Tech chase. One of my favorite things about Acola is he does get a lot of combos in terms of like, he gets like random extra strings that a lot of people wouldn't expect, but he kind of just takes his damage. He's the most aware Steve with crafting table, I swear to God, ever. Which is good, because he could have got something better technically here if there wasn't a crafting table, but there was. And also Diddy's animations are a little awkward, so it's hard to jab fair Diddy. Hits the crafting table, goes, fuck it, this is the end of the combo. Like, and he knows he can't get more than that. That forward smash was kind of YOLO, but again, I feel like Acola is great at understanding risk reward and not just like, haha, I'm Steve, I'm gonna throw out move, because like that's part of it, right? But he's aware that like, okay, if I'm wrong here with this forward smash, I'm gonna take a banana combo, but that's fine because if I'm right, he dies. Everyone does risk reward stuff, but I feel like Acola, a lot of people here would jab as Steve, or like just run back and minecart, or run back and do stuff, whereas Acola's like, I can get a kill. Back air's a little awkward here to hit Diddy, not maybe high enough percent. So he fast falls and turns, so he does the sword back air, and then fast falls and turns around jab. That's not easy. It's surprisingly tight as someone that has, you know, labbed a lot of the combos. And then Tweak's SDI there was really good. And again, he got a little bit of an advantage because Diddy's hurtboxing is weird. And again, he is building. Like, I don't think I've ever seen Acola camp as much as he did versus Tweak. And I don't know if he just doesn't camp because a lot of the matchups we see him fight aren't super good camping matchups. But like, he's not approaching, which is very odd. He never plays this way. I don't know if it's because people are forcing him not to and Diddy kind of can't, or if he's just respecting and that scared of Tweak. Like, he really doesn't do that versus like anyone else, which is why you've seen people complain about like, oh my God, he has no resources, right? Because he fights. He actually fights. At least like plays mid-range, right? Why doesn't he do this in combos? He can do it. He can do it. He did it. Oh man, I wanted to do it in combos. I wanted to kill people at 12. Tweak almost lost the set right there. But again, the advantage is like you have Tweak who's like, oh man, he was like losing that whole first stock and blah, blah, blah. But like, look at the materials that Acola has. Like, Tweak is, in my opinion, playing this very well. Sometimes like just playing so slow versus Steve is correct because eventually he's going to run out of shit, because if you are constantly mining and constantly like building walls, you surprisingly don't have a lot if you eventually like sometimes need to burst with like iron and stuff. It's really weird. Like, it's not something that makes sense in my brain. I'm just like, yeah, well, if you camp, then he just gets stuff. Oh, so good by Tweak. The reason that Tweak was losing that entire side, and then he just slowed down so much and let Acola come to him because, again, Steve doesn't have great approaching options except for just like, I'm gonna YOLO minecart. Like, he needs the minecarts to hit. That is one thing that I will agree with Iza, right? It's like, he needs to minecart if you're playing super passive against him. And the thing is, like, now, because Acola's been getting punished for aerial minecarts and hasn't been getting a lot of like benefit from anything, he's just doing he's doing like ground minecarts now because he's like, okay, well, it beats monkey flip, it beats banana, and like, he hasn't been doing it. So now Tweak has to start jumping, and because Tweak might have to start jumping, it's gonna be a lot scarier. Why did he? That was a weird choice. I'm pretty sure he's trolling here. He made a fucking Mario staircase. Like, it's so funny. And then he does this thing. Like, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's just like being a troll or if he's like trying to just confuse Tweak, but hey, it worked. Like, I don't get it. Knowing that Tweak is going to be antsier on the floor now to like get hits and throw banana because he's fucking not worried about it. Or because he is worried about it, because he's worried about all the ground options that Acola's been doing, so he really has to make it count. Nice up smash. And again, Tweak's been getting a little too comfortable breaking those walls. Like, he really changes how he plays, and the adaptation for this kid is ridiculous. I feel like a lot of people that aren't super focusing won't understand the small differences that he's doing. Small differences even for other characters. It's not just Steve that like small differences make huge things, like smash monkey flipping versus tilt monkey flipping as Diddy Kong, how Pikachu's are T-jolting, or, you know, approaching versus falling versus fast fall versus short hop full hop aerials for Cloud. Like, there's so much that every single character does, but like Steve's just hits you for 20 if you're not ready and like kills you at 100. Like, really, the adaptation for Acola this game has been absurdly good. Low minecarts, not respecting Tweak as much when he's close to the things. Putting the TNT down that one time has also been amazing. Tweak's Nair, unfortunately, kind of inside Steve. He's inside Steve, that's gonna hit, bam. 2 wins on 2 of the strongest players in the world. I'm really excited for him versus Leo again, even if Leo trounces him, because Leo's goated. I hope you all enjoyed. Acola, #2 player in the world. I mean, he's so consistent, right? He's never placed below 4th. He wins basically every Japanese major, and he's won 2 of the 4 events he's been to in North America. He's kind of crazy. He's kind of cracked. Again, clearly, in my opinion, the #2 player in the world at the moment. That can always change. Or maybe he'll become #1 because he'll beat Leo next time. Ridiculous player, ridiculous season, and Steve is really good. So have a good one, everyone.
Pikachu busted.